who should read this book? Who would you say it was your favorite character in the book?
I would definitely say Connor, without a doubt, and I've tried to kind of make it kind of as authentic as possible.
Do you plan to write any more books? I hope so. All right, I am here with Roshan, and he is a new author of an amazing book called Care and Control. And we are going to jump right in with a little bit of information about who he is and where he's from. And then we'll go ahead and jump right into the book. So, Roshan, feel free to take it from here.
Thank you. So thank you for doing this anyway. This is great. So my name's Roshan Pitteea. I am a new author, very new. I live in the north of England. You can tell from the accent. So I'm not quite Scotland, but definitely probably about 3 hours away from London. Um, I am an ex-social worker. I'm now a police detective. And I thought, right, it's time to finally. They say that like everyone's got a book in them, and I've finally been able to publish mine. So yeah,
Excellent.
that's me in a nutshell.
Excellent. Very interesting. And I'm glad to see you. We're across the pond. So I'm in America and you're across in the UK. And so I'm so happy that we were able to connect.
I
So,
know.
can you provide a brief summary of your book? Tell us about the characters, about the genre, and what inspired you to write.
Okay. So, Care and Control, I would primarily describe it as crime fiction. It's got a kind of a slant towards like psychological thriller, mystery. Some of my lead characters are LGBT, so it follows one of the main characters, Louis Mortimer, who's like a rookie police officer, um, and a teenage boy called Connor McAllen, who's currently in the care system, and they meet by chance. Connor's been reported missing, and whilst on patrol, Louis finds him, and they have, I guess, a little bit of a connection, um, although a lot of it involves Connor telling Louis to f off.
Of
So,
course.
um, so yeah, but because because of the way Louis engages with Connor, and because of Louis's own background coming from the care system himself, um, they find this kind of common ground. So at the minute, Connor's going missing frequently. A lot of his foster placements are breaking down, and no one can really explain why, and he's not really forthcoming as to why. Um, so Louis starts engaging with him to try and understand that. In the midst of all that, um, Connor is being targeted by a sexual sadist, unbeknownst to all the professionals around him that are supposed to be safeguarding him.
Mhm.
So the crime plot line, as it was, kind of follows that all the way through. But in and amongst that, you've got some insight into the lives, well, the professional lives of um, safeguarding professionals. So you've got like the police aspect of it. You've got the social workers involved with Connor, um, and like a myriad of professionals that kind of some are portrayed in a better light than others. It's no disrespect to any particular profession, but it's just kind of to show the range of issues, I guess, faced by young people in care. Um, and you've also got um, an exploration of some of the professionals' sort of personal lives as well, particularly Louis. You'll see that he suffers a lot with a lot of self doubt and like I guess a lack of confidence sometimes, and some complications with his love life as well. Um, so it kind of weaves a few different things throughout the book um, into, and
Yeah.
some of it gets resolved in the finale. Some of it
Yeah, so something I noticed was that the topics are sort of like they have a gravitas to them. So, can you explain a little bit about the inspiration? What made this book so compelling for you to write?
It's definitely been something for, I'd probably say, like, the last 10 years. I've kind of thought, "I need to write, I need to write." I used to write a lot as a teenager, but then life happened and I
Mhm,
stopped. Um, but I was determined this year I was gonna do it.
mhm,
Um, but at the time that I started writing, um, public services in the UK are under a lot of pressure. Um, Social services, the police, the NHS. Um, so I guess I wanted to be able to portray portray them in a like a positive light, and I guess give people some insight into just how difficult some of the decisions and the pressures are, and I
mhm.
suppose some of the challenges that some of like our young people in the system are facing as well. Um, but also, I've tried to be a little bit light-hearted as well in some places
Yeah,
because in as much as things can be really difficult and harrowing, um, there is some levity as well. So I've tried to kind of reflect all that. I've tried to bring in like the different disciplines that like I say, I'm an ex-social worker, moved over to the dark side with the police. Some might say this is policing is just social work with handcuffs now.
mhm.
Um, but being able to um, bring that forward and like bring my knowledge of forensic psychology to kind of formulate some villains that are really quite dark and twisted as well. It's been really fun.
Yeah. Who is your target audience, would you say? Who should read this book?
So definitely people who like a bit of crime fiction, who like a bit of like some good plot twists and some like I say twisted villains.
Ah, yes.
Um,
Yeah, I love a twisted villain.
um,
Some of the my
but
stories so much more interesting when there's like you have a character that you kind of love to hate or you're rooting for that kind of lets you down. So I definitely like those characters. So with that said, who would you say it was your favorite character in the book? Would you say?
I would definitely say Connor. Um, Without a doubt, and the reason I say that is because, um, when I when I first started writing, the book, I wasn't really intending for him to play as major a role in the book
Mhm.
as I thought, as daft as that sounds, and um, I wasn't expecting to enjoy writing him and creating him as much as I did, and he's kind of taken on a life of his own. He's kind of become he's this gritty kind of, um,
Mhm.
just gritty, but really really funny
Yeah,
and
smart,
uh,
like in
yeah,
that
street
way.
smart. That's exactly the word I was looking for. He's kind of smart, funny, um, quite complex and actually quite lovable. And it's really interesting that the feedback that I get from readers. I like some really good reviews from the book so far.
What makes your book special?
Authenticity, basically. When you're reading my work, you are getting pretty much a fly on the wall perspective of policing, of social work. Um, Oftentimes, when I watch like policing sort of police dramas or soap operas with social workers in them, or like sometimes some of the crime fiction I read, I kind of think that that wouldn't happen. Oh, that's. I mean, there's
Um,
always got to be a bit of leeway with fiction, and definitely with Care and Control,
mhm.
the biggest fiction is the staffing and budgets, definitely. But um, I've tried to kind of make it kind of as authentic as possible and true to kind of like the procedural elements of like safeguarding investigations and um, you know how children are handled, for want of a better word, in the care system and the social work system. Just so trying to make it as authentic as possible, but obviously there's always a bit of kind of poetic license for the purpose of a good story. But
Yeah.
hopefully, people, interestingly, a consultant social worker who does a lot of training with like local authorities and so social workers, police, etc.
Mhm.
Has picked up the book and read it, and she's actually added it to her course reading list because she said um, the way that I've described, police and social workers working together is exactly how it should be.
Oh,
And
it's amazing.
so that, I mean, that's a brilliant
I'm a huge
accolade.
compliment.
And likewise, some of my old social work colleagues have read it. Some really accomplished social workers, and have just given me like some really amazing feedback. So that stuff is
Yeah,
that's great for me. So I feel like I've kind of captured the
that's
reality um without kind of harping too much on like some of the boring mundane stuff, because there's plenty of that definitely in investigations as well.
yeah, I bet. And I would say to even add to what makes your book special is that you have, as a reader, a very clear voice, very well-defined characters, and you don't necessarily know what's going to happen next. And that's what makes it special. And especially with me being, from the US, it's really refreshing and especially insightful because, it's like stepping in traveling essentially right here in
Wonderful.
your own home, basically traveling to a new place and trying to conceptualize these new places and ideas really made it interesting and quite compelling. So
I love that. Great.
that said, do you plan to write any more books? I hope so.
Absolutely. I it's like a cork has popped.
Uh-huh.
Um, what's been really interesting is that the characters are based ra- less so on people and more on kind of energies, I suppose, of people and locations and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of they've now become sort of fully formed characters.
Yeah.
I joke and say I've got like five other people living in my head now.
That's how it
So
is.
when
That's exactly how it is
when
almost.
the air is particularly humid, my hair goes like wild and really curly. So we refer to those as Connor curls now. And
Mhm.
um, if I've got like a bit of a bouffant going on, then like that's an Elliot hair day.
Yeah.
But it's kind of I'd always intended to write a series. I want to kind of follow Louis through his police career,
Mhm.
wherever that goes. I mean, oftentimes I find in crime fiction that it starts with an inspector or a chief inspector, or sometimes even higher. Um, and in reality, some of the I suppose some of the like the grunt work, some of the kind of real shop floor work is done by constables.
Mhm.
Um, so I wanted to kind of capture that, and um, so yeah, so Louis got a lot more kind of mileage and stuff to do, and
Excellent.
like um, like I say, I'm already working on the sequel now. Um, so we're
Excellent.
gonna have so Saturdays are what I call like my fight and write days. So I've
I
got
like it. Fighting right. I
because
like it.
I've got partly because of book research, but partly for work purposes. I've started taking some Krav Maga courses. Um, so Saturday morning, I get thrown around for a bit, and then I go off to our local library where there's like a writers group where you could just kind of bring your notebook, your laptop, whatever, and you've got this
Nice.
focused time to sit amongst other writers. We all just work on our own projects.
Uh-huh.
So that's my kind of fight and write Saturdays.
Well, I will certainly be looking forward to it. I am going to put the link to the book in the description, and
Thank
you
you.
can also definitely feel free to share as well. And I definitely have a pleasure working with you on this project, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Thank you. I really appreciate it too.